This year, we focused on ethics, transparency, and accountability in our legislative coverage as part of the People, Power, and Democracy Project. We followed a proposal to change how capital outlay funds are allocated to public works projects. We also covered bills that address campaign spending and an independent ethics commission. You can watch all those stories on our website, newmexicoinfocus.org. Look for the special coverage section. This week, we compare ethics in business to ethics in politics. Our correspondent, Gwyneth Dolan, recently visited an executive MBA class at UNM. The focus was corporate governance, and students discussed some ethical topics in the news recently, including the federal government's request that Apple write code to allow government officials to hack into the phone of one of the San Bernardino shooters.
Trust in government is really, really important here, and I think part of the reason why Apple is winning the PR war, and I clearly think it is, and just back up for a moment. So Apple is essentially defending information security to hack into the phone of somebody who murdered 14 people, and Apple is getting the better side of the argument. And if that doesn't tell you something about trust in business as opposed to trust in the government, I'm not exactly sure what does. If a company doesn't achieve a positive ethical culture, a lot of really bad things can happen. One of the things that can happen is that employees really focus on the short term at the expense of the long term. So conflicts of interest really are everywhere, and to me, conflicts of interest relate to the best efforts of somebody. So when a legislator has a conflict of interest, the concern is that we're not getting the best efforts from that legislator. When a corporate executive has a conflict of interest, the concern of shareholders is that they're not getting the best efforts and the best results from that executive. And so I want you to identify those two people, a overpaid CEO and a CEO of some sort who you believe is doing a good job. So groups of four, just take a few minutes about that on that particular topic, and then we'll come back and connect this to the broad topic of corporate governance.
But the average CEO used to be paid, I think in the 60s, 23x
the
average worker, and now it's like 500x or something like that, 363 or something.
Right.
Or that the stocks went down and they fired a lot of people.
And he makes $34 million a year.
You have to remember that these players are playing in this person's business.
Most of my career I've spent in the nonprofit world, working on social change issues or trying to achieve social change. And I think the business world has a role to play in helping to solve some of New Mexico's most endemic problems. And I want to learn some of those perspectives and try to incorporate them into change-making strategies.
What I really do wish, though, is that we had more ethical conversation about a broad range of topics, whether it's government, whether it's business, whether it's medicine. I think the problem is that we don't have enough ethical conversation, and when we don't have ethical conversation, we don't talk about the things that really matter. Who's got the better argument here? Is it Apple that has the better argument, or the federal government? The quality of corporate governance makes an enormous difference.